Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of where I came from before we get into what I've been doing. So you know where I'm at. I've spent 15 years with John Deere in the beginning. I was 15 years ago. I did spend 15 years with John Deere. I do know a little bit about the farming and things. So then after I spent that time with John Deere, I decided to go into something on my own. I was building houses on the side while I was working at John Deere, so I started another company called New Dimension Investments, and we did properties, we had houses, we had apartment buildings, that kind of stuff. And then I opened another company called NDI Inc. It was a general contracting company, so we were starting to build buildings. We were building buildings kind of like this one we're in, and going along with that for a while. I just put this in here because I made this book, and we did do a lot of real estate, so it's just another part of my life. And well, that's me with no hair. That's one of the buildings we built in St. Albert when they were just starting to do some commercial stuff in St. Albert, actually. And we got an award in Canada for that building. We got number 1 out of 500 buildings in Canada. We got an award for that building. So I'm just showing you that we can build things because I'm talking about building something today. And I'm going the wrong way today. I'm going to start with this conforming because Peter was talking about the food, and that's really what I'm into. And he touched on some of the things I'm going to probably talk about too, but the conforming idea is the part that really gets to me because people just conform to the idea now that we get sick. And that when we get old, we're going to end up in a home, we're going to end up sick. Somebody's going to be changing our diapers and doing all those things. And they just conform to that idea. And we don't need to be there. I won't be there. Because that's only if you stay on the system that they're conforming to. So when I was building, I found out that food was no good. Because, well, first off, I'm a research junkie. And I was into world economics. The monetary system was what I studied. So we saw what was coming in 2007. We started selling our properties. We sold 90 properties, our apartments. We sold everything in 2007, just before the downturn. And that just made me look for something more to do. And actually, one of my family members got sick. And it really woke me up because I was like, well, how come everybody's getting sick now? Because when I was a kid, nobody got sick. Like I didn't know anybody who had cancer when I was a kid. And there was one guy in our whole high school. We had 800 people in our high school, and there was one guy with diabetes. We all knew him. And then all of a sudden, somebody gets sick in my family, and it woke me up to that. So I started doing the research on it. Like I said, I'm a research guy. I don't watch TV, so I just do research. And I found out that it was the food that was killing us. And that's the bottom line. Like Peter talked about a lot of things that can happen to us, but that's only if you stay in that system. It's so easy to fix this. All you got to do is get off that system, off that food, onto good food, and fill your body with what it needs, and it will fight off anything. So that's what we did. We sold everything we had. We bought a farm. I had 200 bison. We kind of downsized our bison herd now because we're getting into the vegetables a little more. And put up the commercial kitchen so we could produce our own food because I wasn't comfortable about eating the other food anymore. And so that's where we went with that. I've always been growing stuff. That's my greenhouse at home before I had the farm. And we were picking our own foods after we got sick. We started doing it. And that's my fridge that I have in the winter. I just fill a fridge and I juice all that food all winter. And it's usually more greens. You don't see them there, but there is. Then we started, that's when we started the farm, and it's called Strawman Farm is what we call it. It's all natural bison is what we were doing. You know, and when I got into the bison too, I didn't know anything about bison. When I was researching food, I found out bison meat was the best meat, bison ostrich, so I thought, well, let's go with the bison. Plus the vets and all those guys, they stay away from the bison. They're scared of them, so they stay out of there. So you don't have to follow their protocol. And you can just let them be natural, so that's what we did. And then we went to a few meetings with bison people. I won't say the associations and stuff, but then they're all saying that we need to feed them grain and this kind of stuff. And I knew the grains weren't something that we should be eating. And then, like I did the research Peter was talking about, the bison will die in 12 years if you feed them grain. So I wasn't going to feed them the grain because I'm killing the animals. So we don't feed grain. We're all natural. And these guys at the association, they say you can't do that. I said, well, like when did you become a bison? Like how do you know what a bison eats? Because they don't eat grain. If they're out in the prairie, they're eating grass. That's what they eat. So we just did everything natural. We leave our bulls with the bison. We do everything natural. They just get to be themselves. But we give them enough room. We give them a lake to drink out of, all the things they need, because they're just like us. They know the plants they need when they need them. When a bison cow is going to have a baby, she goes and eats some willows because there's aspartame in there, and it's kind of like an aspirin for them. They eat the spruce boughs when they have worms, those kinds of things. They know what they need if you give it to them. If you're going to pen them, then you might have to do something different. But, we do pen them, but we give them lots of room. Okay. Yeah, Peter showed you that. That's our farm there. That's the building we're starting to do our... I bought this farm because of that building, because I really wanted to get an indoor garden going, because I always had a greenhouse. It's not a greenhouse because we're growing a little different, that we're growing in a controlled environment completely. So you don't have the sun or anything, because in Alberta it's too cold. It's too cold to have a greenhouse 12 months a year. You can grow a greenhouse here, but you're not going to be able to do anything in the winter. And even in the summer it's hard because it gets too hot. So we're going to go in a controlled environment, just like these buildings that we're building. I just threw this in here for fun too, because I was talking about the bison and how natural we are. Like in the winter, our bison eat fresh grass every day. Those trays are 4 feet by 8 feet. There's 500 pounds of pure grass in there. There's no dirt or anything. You just put the seed in, hydroponically grow it. In 6 days, you get a whole tray to feed the bison. And so our bison get fresh grass all winter. That's what it looks like. So there's no dirt or anything. There's roots are in the bottom. They eat the roots. There's so much water and hydration. And I know you see the grains in there, but once the grains have grown into a fodder, that's called fodder, it's 8 inches tall, there's nothing left in the grain. That's our bison eating the fodder there. Even in the spring, it's hard to get them back on the grass. They just love this stuff. And when we started doing it, everybody said that was crazy, they wouldn't eat it. I'm like, what do you mean? That's grass, they'll eat it. That's our kitchen. Peter showed you a picture of that already. That's the walk-in cooler. We built a 25-foot walk-in cooler. It's 10 feet high, so we can hang bison in there and process our own. That's just more pictures of the kitchen. Just showing that we process all our own meats. And my whole motto was, let's feed my family first, and then we'll sell the difference. Because I'm a business guy too, and we do need to deal with society. And so that's what we're doing. We're feeding our family first, and we're selling the difference. And when Peter and I got together, that was the same thing he was looking for. His family's bigger, that's all. That's all of us, and it's so true. So we need to feed our nations first and sell the difference. And that's all we need to do. We make sausages, we make all this sorts of things. But the whole thing to me was about the health. And Peter was talking about the lectins and the leaky gut. And the leaky gut is definitely the main cause of all our disease, all the inflammation problems, diabetes, everything. And so we do this thing called the 30-day bone broth challenge. And if you take a cup, there's science behind this too, but if you take a cup a day of bone broth, that heals your guts. It heals those holes in your guts that Peter was talking about. And you can't get your health back unless your guts are back. There's 76 trillion cells in your gut, more than the rest of your whole body. And if your guts aren't good, you can't take in any nutrition. Eat something, it'll go right through you. So you have to get your guts better first. So we do a bone broth challenge. We take 30 cups, like each one of those is a cup. You take a cup a day for 30 days and it will heal those good. Then you can start to get the sauerkrauts and the probiotics and the prebiotics and all that in your stomach. But until you do that, until you heal your guts, those probiotics you take aren't any good. And if you don't have prebiotic with the probiotic's no good neither. And most people don't even know about the prebiotics. So it's just people selling stuff out there. If you get a yogurt with a prebiotic or probiotic, they say they've got 10 billion probiotic. Well, there's nothing in there because they put sugar in there, and the probiotic won't survive with the sugar. So there's nothing in it. It might have started with 10 billion. We also make this product. These are just products that we've been using, so we sell them. We take them and we sell them. This is cinnamon, honey, baking soda. Simple remedy. When I was a kid, we used to get that kind of stuff on our toast, and they quit making it. But it's really so good for your heart, blood pressure, diabetes. You want to lose weight, you take that. It's an amazing product. It's antibacterial and it's got baking soda in it, so it's alkaline, like Peter was saying. And your blood needs to be alkaline. We've been working with Global and all these things, trying to spread the word. This is another thing we've been doing is the colloidal metals. These are all minerals. Like Peter said, they're destroying our dirt. And what they've been doing, when I spent the time with John Deere too, what they do is they cultivate. And they're moving the ground all the time. Now I know there's zero tilling too, but it's when you disturb the ground, you disturb the bugs and you disturb everything else in there too, and you kill the ground. So what they do is put nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium back in so the plant will grow, because they will grow great on those. But that's all the plant gets then. There's supposed to be 27 trace minerals in your food when you're eating them. So these are all those trace minerals that I've been making for our family. The silver is more like an antibiotic. We've got magnesium back there too. The colloidal magnesium, you know, there's lots of people that are depressed now. Magnesium is the mineral that's most in your body, and we're all low. Everybody in here is low on it. And if you don't have magnesium, you get depressed. I get young kids that come, they want, their parents are going to put them on some drugs because they're depressed, and I get them on this magnesium, and I'm telling you, in 3 days, they're a different person. It's just we're really low because none of our foods have any of these things anymore. Sauerkrauts, we make the sauerkrauts because that's your probiotic. Once you fix your guts, then you got to get your gut flora back going. So I know this got nothing about the grow room yet, but we're getting there. Sorry. But, and we're working with lots of guys like that chef Shane Chartrand from River Creek. Yeah, we're going to be all natural too. In our grow room, we use bugs for, there's always different ways to do things. You don't need pesticide, herbicides for anything. Like those are ladybugs, we use those to get rid of spider mites. If you get spider mites, you let some ladybugs up, they'll eat them. So there's always ways to do things if you control your environment properly, without pesticide herbicides. Those are some of the strawberries we grew in our grow room there. Those are my boys, my family and I, Lori and I, and my kids are doing the farm. Those are the stands I was building in there. And you know what? They were okay. Those stands were okay if you're going to just feed your own family. But if you're going to go commercial, you can't do it. You know, like I can't even get to the top of the harvest, so the top 2 rows we had to take out. Just things like that. So we were growing strawberries for a couple of years in there. 5,000 strawberries we grew, and they went well, but it wasn't a commercial system. That was one of the strawberries we grew. Peter was talking about Cisco. We're also working with the grocery people as well. He said that was the co-op guy. But here's where we are now. So I'm finally here. This is where we're growing our building now. In that building on my farm, you saw that 16,000 square foot building. I've been trying to get this thing going in there with these towers. Because mine were okay, but they weren't commercial. Now these ones here are amazing, these towers. They come from Singapore. They got 12 of the top awards of the world for building a vertical farm. So I was with John Deere once before. You may as well go with the best. They're the best, and this is the best. So I'm going to go with the best towers. And so I shut mine down, and I've been trying to create enough money to get this one going in my farm there. And I can just say now that finally I am getting one going. But we're not going to do the farm. We're going to build a brand new building. It's going to be huge. We're going to be doing 5 million pounds of strawberries a year out of one building. It's crazy, 450,000 pounds a month out of one building. And we just met with Cisco on Friday, and they're buying it all. So here's the system. These things are really low energy, low water. I know you can't see that very good, unless you see my glasses, but it looks pretty bad. Low water and low wastage. So the water, it only uses 5% of the water. And that's just what goes into the fruit and you take out. The rest of the water stays in the building and it's just recycled. High yield, high quality, like a high yield. In a typical greenhouse or outside, you might get 1 or 2 crops a year, where we get 1 crop a month. That's the big difference here. And I'll get to that. 10 times more yield, 95% less water, 10 times more cycles, that's the 1 cycle a month I'm talking about. Less labor than a farm outside, there's still lots of labor. These are guys in Singapore, and you just plant in these boxes, and those towers rotate. That right Picture on the bottom right there is a water wheel that they patent, so that rotates those towers when you're pumping the water through to feed the plants. This is just about the awards that they got. Okay, now we get into some of the business here. Well, these slides didn't show up very good. But I'll just tell you about this. Okay, this is just comparing that one tower there, and if you compare between strawberries, kale, and lettuce. So if you took one of those towers and you grew it, you'd make $2,300 in lettuce, you'd make a month, these are per month, you'd make $4,300 a month in kale, and if you do strawberries, it's $7,500 a month. There's one of the reasons I picked strawberries. Here's another good reason I picked the strawberries. There's these lists that you can get. There's a dirty dozen list, and I should have brought you a clean list too, but I didn't. But the dirty dozen list of strawberries are number one on the list of the worst things sprayed out there. They have the most chemicals on them. If you're going to eat a strawberry, only eat organic one. Don't eat anything else, because they're really full of everything. Because they can't grow in California. There's a chemical called bromine methyl that they outlawed in 2005. In 2018 is the last year they can use it. And after that, I don't know where the strawberries are going to come from, because they can't really grow without it. It's another big reason I picked strawberries. Like, I know we're not all eating strawberries when we're talking about greens and stuff too, but the strawberries make money. So we can do both here. And I'm going to pick something that makes money in the beginning so that we can build more of these. So if you look at that little graph there, the red line up to the top, that's consumption, how it's been going up. And the blue has been going down. And that's how many strawberries are growing in Canada. So we've been growing less and eating more. We import 329 million pounds of strawberries a year and eat 370 million pounds. So we import 320 and we grow 40 million. So there's a ton of room for strawberries here. That's pretty much saying the same thing. Yeah. 329 million pounds of imports. So you compare with me, it's the first one I've done on the slide. So. That's just another one showing production numbers are all going down except for Quebec. And the one red spot in the middle you can't really see, it says Alberta, and it's red there. There's 0 strawberries that go into the store from Alberta. Every strawberry you eat in Alberta is imported. So talking about the natural stuff that we use again, we use praying mantis, we hatch our own the dandelions, we use the bees for all the pollination. I put this slide in more because it talks a little bit about the food safety, but we can get into that in a minute because the food safety problems become a real issue now with the E. coli and all these things that are happening out there. And when we grow in a controlled environment inside, we'll have none of those issues. That was a big deal to Cisco. I'm just going to give you this, just get to the end here right away, but I'll give you an idea of these towers. Okay, in a typical greenhouse, you get 4.3 plants per square meter. That takes in your walkways and all that, 4.3 plants per square meter. In our system, we get 180 plants per square meter. Like one small 3-meter tower that would probably go in here, one tower is 456 plants. There's a 6-meter tower, 988 plants, or a 9-meter tower, 1,444 plants. So it just depends on the building you have. But, yeah, that's just talking about those right here, so we're kind of after each other. One tower takes up 60 square feet with your walkway. Sorry, 90 square feet. Here's just a little bit on the numbers. I mean, I could have did a bunch of different scenarios, but it just depends on the building and what kind of money you can make out of one of these. So I just did one scenario. 20,000 square foot building with only 16-foot ceilings. So that's your typical, like, riding arena type. This is a little taller in here, but something like this building here. So in this building, in a 20,000 square foot building, you can net 100,320 plants and produce 1.8 million pounds of strawberries a year, with a net profit of $4,420 a year. Now, if you take that same building with 9-meter towers, that have 317,000 plants, and you make a profit of $14 million a year, and that's after all your expenses. And you create, like a big grow room like that's going to create about 70 jobs. You need 46 people picking every 8 hours. I think that's it. No. And then this goes up here too, because that's who's going to buy them. We just met with them again on Friday, and they're definitely going to buy all the strawberries and the stuff. And I'm talking strawberries because strawberries are good economics because we import 300 million pounds of them, and they're good money. So, but we can grow anything in these. We can grow lettuce, cucumbers, whatever you want to grow in these systems, you can grow them. So that's what we've been doing, and we can. And we're just starting to build our first one, and it's going to be on a nation. I'm not sure which nation. There's 2 different ones that I'm working on right now, but it is going to be on a nation, and I love to put these things right across the nation.
Good job.